Hey up guys, welcome back to the Eastern Front. Just to quickly get you all back in the picture, my main assault is just kicking off. That's the T-34s coming out of the woods. There's an 88mm anti-tank gun waiting for them, which has the range, as it's just demonstrated by knocking out that burning Su-76 there. The decoy infantry from Force Meat Shield is getting shot to pieces by machine gun fire and is running back into the woods. This is where I left you last time. Now, I'm just going to rewind a minute or so to put you into the picture of how I'm going to get around the gigantic problem that is that 88mm gun. So what I've got for the assault are 2 platoons in the company HQ of T-34 85 tanks, 7 of them, because the Russians have these creepy 3 tank platoons. These guys have got the 85mm gun over the 75mm gun that the T-34 originally came out with, because I was thinking I might come up against some nasty German big cats like the Panther that's lurking at the back. Hopefully that's going to give them a little bit of a better chance. These guys are force hole punch because they're going to be punching a hole. Simple, right? Riding on the back of them are 2 platoons of what the Russians call tank descent troops. These guys are armed exclusively with submachine guns, and they are absolutely fantastic as long as they can get close enough. These guys are going to be mopping up what's left of the hopefully shell-shocked, tank-shocked, upset, disorganised, uncohesive survivors in the enemy main line. So they're going to be called Force Mop-Up. So those are the tools. To quickly recap the plan, I'm basically going to bum rush the enemy. The tanks are going to punch a hole, drop Force Mop-Up buttons and mop up. Then the tanks are going to push on up to the back and go after squidgy things like headquarters units, which might be lurking back there, and anything on the second line. Practically speaking, I was originally going to have 2 columns of T-34s leaving the woods at the same time from these 2 tracks. But when that 88 got spotted, I switched them over to just the straight one, because it's a lot simpler. It's much easier to coordinate having 1 column of 7 tanks pile out down the straight road than trying to get the timing right so that they come out of both roads at the same time. I don't want to be lurking about in the woods, possibly getting shot at, because that 88 might be able to see quite a long way into there. This is a case of simplest is bestest. Or it might not be, because if the 88 is on the ball, then I'm sure it can deal with 1 tank popping out the woods at a time. In which case, this is all going to end tremendously badly. And of course, there could be any other kind of Germanic nastiness lurking about back there, which my opponent is rushing forward to deal with what could be the main event. So, let's see how it goes, shall we? Resolve that cliffhanger. So here's tank number 1. He's already got further than the Su-76, which is good. Takes a pot shot, but he's never going to hit anything when he's moving at speed. The infantry is getting wasted. There's a lot of fire coming out from those woods. But they dropped off at the right moment. That is 1 dead T-34. There goes tank number 1. Here comes tank number 2. You can see from the Germans' point of view, they're sitting in their little foxholes, shooting the crap out of everything. 88 is putting another shot into the first T-34 just to make sure it's dead. There go the infantry again. 88 is taking aim again. There goes tank number 2, but number 3 is rushing straight past it. The 88 hasn't seen him, presumably, in all the smoke and dust. He puts another round straight into tank 2 just to confirm it. Tank 4 is coming past. There's even somebody still on the back of it. I don't know how much the 88 can see. Don't know how much target tunnel vision the crew is getting. They seem to really want to make sure my tanks are dead, and that's giving the other ones time to get past. I was starting to think, and I've railroaded myself into destruction here, but it looks like the carnage is generating enough confusion, enough smoke, enough dust, and general chaos for Force Hole Punch to start doing its job. That was tanks 5 and 6. Now the tanks have gotten under the gun, so to speak. The 88 can't touch them here. It's time for the German infantry to get hammered. Sitting in the foxholes isn't going to help. Running away isn't going to help. The sheer psychological impact of a close assault from a gigantic metal monster like this is taking its toll. And it's a good job too, because the tank riders Force Mop-Up have gotten pretty much decimated by all that infantry fire. The more Germans that are running away, the happier I am right now, basically. That'll teach me to attack without fire superiority. But regardless, I'm across the kill zone. I'm where I want to be right now. I'm not stopping for the casualties. I've got to capitalise on this opportunity and keep going. I've got to carry on and take advantage before my opponent has time to react, assuming that he hasn't already anticipated this and I'm running into some kind of horrific ambush. What I am running into is the Panther, which is just lurking up there and is starting to move. The Panther's just as big a threat as the AT gun, but it's facing down 5 T-34s and they've seen it coming. The first round there has pierced the barrel, where the barrel enters the gun mantlet, and the gun is out of order. It's done. It's a hell of a lucky shot. You can see the other rounds just bouncing off the armour, but that Panther's out the fight. It's popping smoke, it's reversing, the T-34s have driven it off. Excellent. What do I do now? Keep attacking. We're not done yet, we're not where we want to be. Gotta keep going. The infantry's getting nice and stuck in the woods, but it's going to take a long time to clear the woods out. The tanks have got to move on before we get pinned in place and before my opponent can react properly. So off we go. On up the counterslope as fast as possible. It's all about speed here. We don't want to have a rerun of the 88 experience. In the background you can hear the second final part of the rocket barrage coming in. Hopefully that's going to finish off most of the Germans who fled out of their foxholes into the woods. They're not defenceless though. That's a Panzerschreck taking a pot shot at the passing T-34s. That's why I don't want to get the tanks stuck hanging around in the woods. The 88 is finally noticed, but it's a massive piece of kit. It takes a long time to turn that thing round. By the time it manages it, it's too late. The tanks are in. The tanks have punched straight up through to the backwoods. There's no resistance whatsoever. There's not a lot my opponent can do about it. I haven't given him that much time to react, and he can't have forces everywhere. It's the defender's problem and the attacker's advantage. So look at that. Enemy infantry running for cover. Those are actually mortar teams. They're ammo bearers and I guess a HQ element with a radio for the command link. Exactly the kind of juicy target I want to be rolling over with my tanks. Excellent. This is going to be really setting my opponent on the back foot. And then just to crown it all off, the Panther is reversing away. They catch sight of it. Bang. That's a hit. A few seconds later, the smoke dissipates. We get another view. Out come the crew. The Panther's down. So, mission accomplished. We've punched through, smashed the enemy up, got behind him. It's all been very dramatic. But I've actually dug myself into a big hole here. The tanks are stuck. That 88 is just sitting there, watching them. If they move from out of that corner, then they're going to get destroyed, and I don't want to risk losing any more of them by trying to rush it. The infantry are even worse off. Force Mop-Up has been shot to pieces and cut in two. One platoon made it into the middle woods, but the other one got shredded out in the open and ran back up the hill to join what's left of Force Meat Shield. You know, the pitiful survivors of the guys who I casually threw forward to draw fire. Turns out I kinda need them now. Sure, my opponent has seriously suffered here. He's lost the Panther, and his infantry in the left woods have gotten really roughly handled. But he's still in it. With the AT gun pinning my tanks down, it's not impossible that he'll be able to get some infantry up close and personal with Panzerfaust, Panzerschrecks, AT grenades, sheer guts. My tankers are sitting there and they're practically blind. They're sat in some metal coffins and they're looking at the world through straws and letterboxes. His infantry have a damn good chance to take them out. His other infantry down in the middle woods are still well trained and heavily armed. I haven't even touched his other flank. He might even have another tank hanging around. In reality, the Soviet commander in my shoes now reports his success back up the chain, and his commander starts funneling more resources in to exploit the success. But I don't have any backup. I'm not going to get any reinforcements. I've got to work with what I've got, and I've basically just gutted what I've got in order to get my tanks trapped into a corner where they can't help anybody else. So it's not over yet, guys. It's all to play for. Stay tuned for part 3.